Close your eyes and listen. That isn't thunder in the distance. It's the sound of the earth failing under the weight of a god. 95 million years ago, the plains of South America didn't just support life, they endured it. Every time this creature moves, the soil liquefies and the bedrock groans. Meet the Argentinosaurus, a living mountain that pushed the very laws of physics to the point of breaking. The journey of this 100-ton titan begins with an impossible contrast. It starts inside an egg no larger than a football. Within these fragile walls lies a hatchling that weighs barely 10 pounds. But nature has a violent ambition for this creature. To survive, it must perform a biological miracle, increasing its body mass by 10,000 times. It is the most extreme growth spurt in the history of the planet. As an adult, the Argentinosaurus is a masterpiece of prehistoric engineering. Standing nearly 4 stories tall and stretching over 110 feet, its existence is a constant battle against gravity. To prevent its own skeleton from collapsing under its weight, its vertebrae are honeycombed with air sacs, making the bones light yet incredibly strong. Think of it as a bridge made of living ivory and air. But the real marvel is internal. Imagine a heart the size of a rhinoceros beating with a slow tectonic rhythm. It has to generate enough pressure to blast oxygenated blood up a 30-foot neck to reach the brain. Every breath is a massive intake of air, channeled through a windpipe as wide as a human torso. The sound of its inhalation is a low-frequency hum that vibrates the ribs of every smaller creature for miles. Crack! The sound of a century-old conifer tree snapping is like a dry twig under the titan's foot. The Argentinosaurus doesn't even notice. As it shifts its weight, the tendons in its massive legs, thick as steel cables, screech with tension. This is a creature that doesn't just walk through an ecosystem, it reshapes it with every footfall. A single footprint creates a new pond. A single fallen body creates a landscape. Yet being a giant comes with a terrifying price. Every movement consumes a fortune in energy. Every step is a calculated risk. Gravity is no longer a force, it is a predator, waiting for a single stumble to bring the mountain down. But to keep this 100-ton engine running, the Argentinosaurus has become the world's most efficient destruction machine. It doesn't just eat, it erases forests. And as the sun rises over the Cretaceous horizon, the walking mountain begins its daily search for the only thing that can keep it alive, a consumption of calories so vast it threatens to turn the green world into a wasteland of splinters. To be a god, you must eat like one. For the Argentinosaurus, survival is a mathematical nightmare. To keep a 100-ton biological engine from seizing up, this titan must consume nearly 2,000 pounds of vegetation every single day. It doesn't just graze, it erases. It doesn't just eat, it clear-cuts. This is the infinite hunger, a life spent in a state of perpetual ravenous destruction. Imagine a biological crane, 30 feet long, tipped with a head the size of a horse. The Argentinosaurus doesn't waste energy moving its massive body if it doesn't have to. It stands in one place and uses its neck to sweep through the forest canopy like a giant scythe. Its teeth are not for chewing. They are simple, peg-like tools designed for one thing: stripping. Watch as it reaches into the crown of a massive araucaria tree. With a single, powerful backward jerk of its head, it rakes hundreds of pounds of tough, needle-like leaves into its maw. There is no grinding in the mouth, no mastication, The food is swallowed whole, sent down a gullet that looks like a pulsating industrial pipe. Crack, shatter. The sound isn't just a branch breaking, it's an entire trunk splintering under the pressure of the titan's neck as it reaches for the highest, most nutrient-rich growth. The forest floor is a graveyard of fallen timber, not felled by wind, but by the sheer mechanical force of appetite. Smaller dinosaurs, from raptors to herbivores, flee the area. To stay near an Argentinosaurus feeding is to risk being crushed by the collateral damage of its meal. Inside the titan, a different kind of violence is happening. Deep within its massive torso lies a fermentation tank the size of a small van. Because it cannot chew, the Argentinosaurus relies on gastroliths, smooth stomach stones it has swallowed. As the giant moves, these stones churn and grind against the raw vegetation, creating a low, wet, rhythmic thumping that can be heard through its ribcage. It is a biological furnace, generating so much heat during digestion that the dinosaur has to be careful not to overheat. The sheer volume of gas produced by this process is staggering. The air around a feeding herd is thick with the smell of fermentation and the constant low-frequency roar of the wind being displaced by their movements. They are changing the atmosphere itself, one forest at a time. But as the sun reaches its zenith, the sound of splintering wood is suddenly joined by a different noise, a high-pitched, rasping bark from the tree line. The Argentinosaurus is distracted by its hunger, its neck high in the trees, leaving its massive, vulnerable flanks exposed. The shadow of a mountain is about to be challenged by the shadows of a pack. The Mapusaurus have arrived. Size is a fortress, but every fortress has a weakness. 95 million years ago, even a living mountain like the Argentinosaurus could be bled dry. The Mapusaurus, 10-ton killers with teeth like serrated steak knives, don't seek a quick kill. They seek a slow, systematic dismantling of a god. This isn't a hunt, it's a siege. And in this prehistoric theater of war, the ground itself is about to scream. The attack begins not with a roar, but with a shadow. 7 Mapusaurus emerge from the dust of the Patagonian plains. They move with a terrifying, synchronized grace, circling the flanks of an aging Argentinosaurus. They know they cannot bring it down with strength. They must use the only weapon that works against a titan: blood loss. One predator lunges, its jaws snapping shut on the giant's massive thigh. It doesn't hold on, it tears a chunk of flesh away and retreats. This is flesh grazing. By inflicting hundreds of shallow wounds, they will slowly drain the 100-ton engine until it can no longer stand. Thwack! The air itself seems to explode. The Argentinosaurus unleashes its primary defensive weapon, a tail over 40 feet long, acting like a gargantuan whip. The tip moves so fast it breaks the sound barrier, creating a sonic boom that dazes the predators. One Mapusaurus is caught in the midsection. The impact doesn't just break bones, it vaporizes them. The predator is sent tumbling 50 feet across the dirt, a lifeless heap of scales and muscle. But the pack is relentless. They exploit the giant's slow reaction time. As the Argentinosaurus attempts to pivot its massive frame, the ground beneath its feet gives way. The ground liquefies under the immense pressure of its struggling limbs. Every stomp intended to crush an attacker instead creates a crater, trapping the giant in its own weight. The low-frequency vibrations of the giant's bellows of pain can be felt in the marrow of the predator's bones. It is a tectonic sound, a plea for help that no one will answer. The Mapusaurus strike again and again, their muzzles stained crimson. They are like wolves at the feet of a mountain, waiting for gravity to do the final work. The giant is tilting. The unthinkable is happening. The mountain is starting to fall.
But as the Argentinosaurus prepares for a final desperate stand, the environment intervenes. A sudden, violent shift in the wind brings more than just the scent of blood. It brings the smell of ozone and a distant rhythmic thumping that isn't made by feet. The siege of the Mapusaurus is about to be interrupted by a force that makes even the death of a titan look insignificant.
The fall of a mountain does not happen in an instant. It is a slow, agonizing surrender to the laws of the universe. As the Argentinosaurus finally hits the ground, the impact is felt for miles, a seismic thud that signals the end of a century-long reign. The dust kicked up from its collapse hangs in the air like a shroud, as the silence of the Patagonian wilderness returns, heavy and absolute. A fallen Argentinosaurus is not just a carcass, it is an ecosystem. Even in death, this titan remains a source of life. The Mapusaurus pack, exhausted and bloodstained, move in to claim their prize. But they are not alone. From the shadows of the ferns, smaller scavengers, abelisaurids, and tiny furred mammals emerge to take their share. 100 tons of organic matter will feed this valley for decades. The giant that once consumed forests is now being returned to the earth, bone by bone, fiber by fiber. As years turn into centuries, the flesh disappears, leaving behind a cathedral of white bone. The massive vertebrae, once filled with air and life, now become shelters for the very creatures the giant used to stomp over. But the world around these bones is changing. The lush, humid forests of the Cretaceous are beginning to thin. The air is growing heavy with the volcanic soot of the Deccan traps, and the horizon is colored by a strange, sickly orange glow. The sound of a single cracking bone, a tectonic shift in the Earth's crust, begins to bury the remains. Deep layers of sediment and volcanic ash cover the white ribs, pressing them into the dark heart of the Earth. The walking mountain is being turned into stone. For millions of years, these bones will wait in the darkness, preserved by the very pressure that once tried to crush them in life. The era of the Titans is drawing to a close. The Argentinosaurus was the peak of biological possibility, a testament to what life can achieve when gravity is the only limit. They were the masters of the horizon, creatures so vast they redefined the scale of the world. But as the shadows of the great extinction loom, their footprints are the first to be filled with the dust of ages. They are gone, but they are never truly lost. Beneath the soil of modern-day Patagonia, the mountain still waits to be rediscovered, a silent witness to a time when the earth was ruled by giants. To stand in the shadow of an Argentinosaurus is to realize how small we truly are. If this journey into the world of the largest giants ever to walk the earth moved you, please hit the like button and subscribe for more prehistoric stories. Do you think anything larger than Argentinosaurus is still waiting to be found in the fossil record? Share your theories in the comments below.